7.5, consideration of A, proposed reorganization and renaming of the Drought Workgroup. B, establishment of an ad hoc committee. C, transference of a lead agency to Community Development Department, and presentation of SB 552 compliance and project updates. And it looks like we have Director Upadhyay, Angela DePalma-Dow, and Shannon Walker-Smith with Community Development Director Maria Turner on Zoom. 7.5.
Do we have
She's online.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Hello everyone. It's Pawan Upadhyay, the Water Resources Director for the county. You want to introduce yourself?
We also have a contractor from Stantec. Prjct Lowry should be on to answer questions also for this item. And CDD Director Maria Turner is on Zoom, and then Angela DePalma-Dow from Water Resources also.
So we have this memo in front of us. So I will first give a brief summary and then probably read through this memo. Currently, like we need to make a drought resiliency plan to comply with Senate Bill 552, which was approved by the governor in September 2021. So what this Senate Bill 552 is basically is for small water suppliers and rural communities, just to make that they have a plan in case of water shortage and drought. In order to make this plan, we have received direct technical assistance from the DWR, which is the State Department of Water Resources. And Lake County already has a drought working group or a drought task force. So basically, we are asking to transform that drought task force to Lake County Drought and Water Shortage Task Force. And then, because that's the part of making that plan to comply with Senate Bill 552. So that was kind of little bit brief background on what this memo is about. So now I will read through this memo, and then we can address any questions the board might have.
Continue.
So the executive summary, in response to the ongoing challenges such as limited water resources, increased demand, climate variability, and recent legislative requirement related to drought and water shortage, staff propose a reorganization of the current drought work group, renaming it to the Lake County Drought and Water Shortage Task Force, and establishing an ad hoc committee. Additionally, we will discuss the implication of Senate Bill 552 and outline the process for drafting a comprehensive drought resiliency plan. Update on the transfer of lead agency responsibilities and project timeline will also be provided. The Water Resources Department will present on the following: reorganization and renaming. The first task is transformation of the existing drought work group into the Lake County Drought and Water Shortage Task Force. Expand the mandate and formal reporting structure to the Board of Supervisors. Item number 2 is to establish an ad hoc advisory committee. Department formation of an ad hoc committee to handle a specific short-term task. Members will be invited based on their expertise in areas such as water resources management, environmental science, agriculture need, and local community knowledge. The department will select advisory committee members who will hold 4 meetings with the primary role of developing the drought resiliency plan in accordance with Senate Bill 552 requirement for state small water system and domestic wells. The ad hoc drafted drought resiliency plan will be reviewed by the task force prior to the submission to the Board of Supervisors for approval and then state certification. Item number 3 is implication of Senate Bill 552. Overview of Senate Bill 552 requirements for enhanced drought preparedness and resilience. Role of Drought and Water Shortage Task Force and Ad hoc Advisory Committee in meeting these legislative requirements. Item number 4, drafting a drought resiliency plan. Importance of a comprehensive drought resiliency plan in response to Senate Bill 552. Process for drafting the plan, including stakeholder involvement, public participation, and the opportunity for the public to review and comment on the draft plan before finalization. Project update. Transfer of lead agency. An update on the transfer of lead agency responsibility for this initiative. Updated project timeline. A revised timeline outlining major project milestone and expected completion dates.
All right. Anything else, or?
So, in addition to a brief summary which I gave before reading this memo, is another major task is so right now is it to make this plan is with the water resources, but we are proposing it to be transferred to the community development department. That's because it aligns with the work which they are already doing and their plan for 2050 and the master plan they are doing.
Should we have Maria or you, Director Turner, would you like to, you have your hand up, so I want to make sure.
Yes, thank you. The Drought Task Force has already sort of been briefed on the SB 552 at their last meeting last May. The transference of the community to the Community Development Department would actually be consistent with the local hazard mitigation plan, which identified the Community Development Department as responsible for preparing the drought resiliency plan. So it's more like we're coming into compliance to transfer it over to community development, as well as it'll integrate well with us with the current Lake County 2050 plan going on right now also, and the sorted different public outreach efforts that are integrated into this process will also dovetail nicely with Lake County 2050. Prjct Lowry from Stantec is available should you have any questions specifically about the timeline, because we are a little behind, but the state did give us an extension. And so Prjct can speak to sort of the process from here. Thank you.
Yes. Did you have anything that you wanted to add, ma'am? Okay. Supervisor Sabatier, go ahead.
I'm definitely interested in hearing what the timeline might be, and if that is what was intended, I can wait.
Oh, there she goes. All right.
Hello, supervisors. Thank you for having me here today. The original timeline in the original CSP, which was scoped last year, was for 1 year. We've been discussing the process with the Department of Water Resources, and the funding can be continued for 1 year from the start date, assuming that the start date is relatively soon. And so we will have 1 year despite the extended timeline.
Anything else?
Thank you. I know that we met with Stantec. I don't even remember what the timeline was, but this sometime last year to review this. So glad this is moving forward. This is definitely something that's been on our minds because the board had created the task force before the state forced us to create the task force in the first place. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the committee members. I don't see it necessarily identified in there. Maybe it is, and maybe I'm just not reading it. I know it says water resources management, but I'm hoping we get water purveyors that both use well water as well as lake water to better understand their needs to ensure that they can provide water to the users. And I also don't see fire districts involved who may need to access water at the hardest times to access water, like in October or November when there's no rain. Just ideas of and also, sorry, I missed one, and maybe somebody from like the Chamber of Commerce or some kind of business association that would be able to speak on the behalf of businesses and what that impact might look like when we declare drought and what kind of changes will occur on water availability and whatnot.
And we do also have the minutes from the last meeting where you and Supervisor Pyska made other suggestions as well. So we'll make sure that we take that into account.
Thank you.
I will also add that the special districts has prepared their drought resiliency plan already, and I believe some of the other water purveyors have as well, particularly for the requirements of 552. It covers state small systems, so those are 14 connections or less. So it doesn't explicitly include the larger water purveyors. They're under either different requirements. And so, yes, we definitely have under the Drought Task Force proposed current member lists and have attended in the past our special districts department heads, and they'll continue to be invited, but just wanted to make that clarification about the requirements with this Senate bill.
All right. If there's no other questions, we'll open it up to the public. Not. Margot, if you can unmute, state your name for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, Board. My name is Margot Kambara. For efficiency and effectiveness, convening a working drought work group seems obvious and ideal. Having an ad hoc committee draft the drought resiliency plan for task force review requires more volunteers. The schedule calls for the ad hoc committee to meet 4 times and draft the drought resiliency plan. This does not seem realistic. As for transference of lead agency responsibilities for optimum operational function, the drought work group should remain with Lake County Water Resources Department, WRD. WRD has the technical expertise required to support the drought work group. Recall that WRD resources also serve Lake County Water Protection District. Better management outcomes result when contractor oversight is done by those with a background in the field of work, specifically water resources. If bandwidth is an issue for WRD, I respectfully suggest that your board consider allocating additional resource or resources to WRD. Technical background in water resources is important to validate the contractor's work results and quality. This will be difficult, if not impossible, for CDD. For this reason, a process handoff to CDD for tasks involving permits seems best. Transference of lead agency responsibilities to CDD is not an action that sets up CDD for success. CDD is on point for Lake County 2050, the effort to update the general plan and local area plans. This project is a huge undertaking with significant impact on the future of Lake County. General plan and local area plan advisory committee members observe that CDD resources are stretched thinly for Lake County 2050 support. Demands on CDD staff over the next 2 years will increase. Among the outstanding major components of general plan and related efforts include at least 4 activities. First, year 2 of general plan, local area plan updates. Second, environmental impact report work for the general plan. Third, housing element, the Housing Action and Implementation Plan update. And fourth, Aggregate Resources Management Plan. Director Turner expressed eagerness to work on this project. The timeline is uncertain. CDD's current responsibilities to support the following entities are demanding: the Lake County Planning Commission and the Cannabis Ordinance Task Force. Since starting Lake County 2050, CDD has also been given at least 2 additional responsibilities. The FEMA National Flood Insurance Program floodplain mapping responsibility and role as lead applicant in California Department of Conservation Sustainable Agricultural Lands Conservation Program grant. Unfortunately, a heavy workload can lead to serious errors. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments? I'll go ahead and close public comment. And did you want to respond?
Yeah, so as far as we are also asking to make an ad hoc advisory committee, and the water resources would be part of that committee itself. And the members of that committee would be based on their expertise, such as water resources management, environmental science, agriculture needs, and local community knowledge. And as far as the heavy lifting on the making the plan itself, that's what the Stantec is there for, as a technical assistance. So it won't be that much direct load on the staff. We do have to do meetings and everything, but most of the work would be done by the ad hoc advisory committee, and it would be brought to the task force for their approval or the review, and then the task force will recommend it to the board of supervisor whether they want to go ahead it or not. So yeah, I do see like there is additional little bit additional work for the CDD involved in that, but we would still be part of that. So we are just asking for the lead to be transferred. So I don't see it as saying it would be done by somebody who don't has an expertise on that. So we are still involved in making the plan itself.
All right, I don't know who's first. Supervisor Owen?
I actually, why is it not saying? Oh. It was legitimate that time. I actually had the same thoughts as Margot with it being putting more, and I was going to ask both of you how you felt about this, Pon and Maria, putting more on your lap, Maria. I don't know, it just seems like it should be in your ballpark considering your water, and maybe having her part of the task force, but keeping you as the lead just made more sense since it does have to do with water, which is your expertise. So I actually was thinking along the same lines as Margot, and I wanted to get both of your input because there could be things I'm not seeing here, obviously.
Director Turner, I see your hand up.
Thank you. Yes, this differs a little bit from Water Resources' normal purview in that it deals with wells and small water systems. So as you look around the state and the development, typically you'll find lead taken by community development or environmental health, different departments like that, because it's not really talking about water in the lake or the creeks. So we have had extensive discussions internally and are comfortable with taking on this additional responsibility. Shannon is going to head up community outreach or offer support for community outreach in that. And community outreach and long-range planning is pretty much what we do. So we are comfortable with assuming the lead in this. And even more comfortable knowing that Water Resources won't desert me. And Stantec has the technical expertise to get us to where we need to go on the plan.
Yeah, I was looking to you, both of you, for your expertise to see how you felt about it.
Mm-hmm.
I can also comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks, Maria. Thank you for the question too, Margot and Supervisor Owen. The Watershed Protection District, which is the same staff as Water Resources, does have purview over this plan because it's a county-wide plan, and at least the staff, with our director's guidance, is not going to abandon community development on this. And just know that we're probably always going to require to have a drought task force requirement from here going out. The specific direction of the ad hoc committee for this year is to be directed at developing the plan, and then they can be directed for other needs, other topics, and other avenues if needed. And at least the staff at the district, Watershed Protection District, will be there to support and provide that if needed.
And one more thing on my questions, I wanted to clear that up first. I'm actually on that committee, and I'm kind of anxious to get some meetings going. To be honest, when we've got the water is when we need to be doing the planning. And so I'm kind of anxious. I'd like to see more frequent meetings, to be honest, on this issue.
Yeah, we currently have a website with the agenda from the last meeting from May 31st. We have a drought planning website embedded on our website, and we'll make sure and update that. And the Watershed Protection District facilitates and administers other committees, such as the Clean Water Program, so we're able to help in that support if needed.
Okay, so more meetings?
Additionally, we were just waiting to bring this item to the board before we launch this, the planning project.
I will specify that the requirements of SB 522 do not have a meeting minimum. So we today are saying we're committed to 4, but just know that the state law only requires like one-time meeting.
Well, we just hadn't had any yet, and when you were mentioning May, I'm like, wow, that was a long time ago.
Supervisor
We will meet as often as we need to to get
Thank
the
you.
job done.
I just wanted to ask about the establishment of the ad hoc advisory committee. Are you choosing who the individuals are that will be part of that committee? Are you coming back to us for the approval of applications for those who will be part of the committee? Because it's not necessarily perfectly clear if we approve the ad hoc advisory committee, are we approving the composition of it today as well?
We would appreciate it if that could be an internal process rather than board appointed. But if you like, we can come back with the categories. It would be the categories that you mentioned, the ones that we've gleaned from the past minutes, as well as any other recommendations to fill it out as needed.
County Council?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So Chapter 1, Section 6, Rule 2 of the county's policies and procedures related to ad hoc committees does assign or designate the formation of that, the approval of the formation of an ad hoc committee, either by chair directive or board action, and shall include prescribed duties and memberships of the committee. So one option for your board is to approve the formation of this ad hoc advisory committee, and as part of that motion, direct staff to come back to your board with the composition of the members of that ad hoc committee, unless staff already has certain members in mind, certain member positions in mind for your board's approval consideration.
Can you clarify if membership has to be like representative of a department or agency, or do we have to provide specific names?
Not specific names. It's really memberships by roles or positions, and that is to be proposed to the Board of Supervisors for review and approval.
And my follow-up to that is this a Brown Act
Compliant?
committee, or like what's this process? I'm just trying to better understand what we're approving of.
This would be a temporary ad hoc committee for a specific purpose, not a standing committee. So it would not be a Brown Act committee, though the whole point is to get public input. So it will be a transparent process with plenty of public outreach.
So public input during the committees, not when it comes back to the board with what the committee has created.
Both.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anything else to add? All right, so I already closed public input, didn't I? Yeah, I did. Okay, so looks like we'll move forward with action. Did you have anything else, County Council? No? All right.
Nope. I move that we approve the reorganization and renaming of the Drought Workgroup to Lake County Drought and Water Shortage Task Force. Can I do them both at the same time? Separate? Okay.
I may have some suggested revisions to item B, so
Okay.
it would be the suggestion
I second
would be
that.
to-
So for A, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
You have language for B?
Yes, thank you. So the motion for item B would be to approve the establishment of the Drought Resiliency Plan Ad Hoc Advisory Committee and direct staff to return to the board with proposed memberships membership compositions within that committee.
So moved.
Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
C, approve the transference of lead agency from water resources to community development.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much for the presentation and discussion here, and we'll close
you.
this item.